Hey, chevra, good yantiv, gmar chasim atayva to everyone, a good kvittel, a good everything. Everything. Today is the Yurtzeit of Reb Usher, as Dan pointed out to us yesterday. So his neshama should have an aliyah, and he should be made tziyosher in all of us that are drinking from his fountain, learning his Torah, and hopefully asking the questions that he's putting out for us to ask, like we've been saying. And we should have a lot of atzlacha continuing to learn in his Torahs for many, many more years to come, Be'ez Hashem. So the Shirat today is dedicated to Lili Nishmasai, but today, since it's a very, very, very special morning, you all know that this morning, Yom Kippur, this is a very, very delicate day. And it's so beautiful and heartwarming to see all the chevra coming and davening and learning and all the good hazeh. But I wanted to learn just for a few minutes something very, very special that'll help us take advantage of these moments that we have right now, because chaval lefasfes, to miss out on these days. Like this is really, you thought that Rosh Hashanah, you say something truly, Yom Kippur was high. These days over here right now, they're not in comparison. Chas v'shalom. Can't compare them to anything, but they're really something out of this world. And there's a lot of different Torahs we've learned over the years. So a little bit of stuff that we've seen. And previously, I have pages for you. It's not in the sefer that you have over here, but a very short piece from the Slonimer Rebbe, and a very short and very intense piece from Rav Kook. These tzaddikim to escort us in, to bridge the place between Yom Kippur and Sukkot is very, very, very special. And I also just want to say one more thing. I want to say, I don't know if people still say big ups, but I'm going very retro these days in a lot of different ways. I got last night, I had a bunch of... Did it? Okay, I got a bunch of chevra. Huh? I had a bunch of chevra like texted me right. They sent me a link right after Yantiv with the link to pump up the jam. I haven't thought about that. I've heard that song in ages, but sometimes whatever it is. But chevra, everyone here pumped up the jam. What could I say? Everyone, hopefully, Naftali, by this Friday chevra, they were pumping up the jam.
Pumping up the marcus.
But I want to say thank you to everybody. It's a glorified period in life, and it's a glorified experience to Mekabel Pnei HaMelech on Rosh Hashanah the way we did, and to then go weiter with Yom Kippur. I just feel like I'm the luckiest person in the world. So let's continue this. Take all the or from everyone and go weiter. So the days between Yom Kippur and Sukkot are very, very special, but the Shabbos, and we don't have it every year. Sometimes there is no Shabbos between Yom Kippur and Sukkot. Yom Kippur falls out on Shabbos, and Sukkot comes out in the middle of the week, or other combinations. But here, there's a very, very special thing over here, when the Shabbos that's between Yom Kippur and Sukkot is something very, very, very potent, very, very powerful. So look what the Slonimer Rebbe says. Shabbos Kodesh zu sheben Yom Kippurim lechag HaSukkos, Kedusha so gvoya me'od. This is a very exalted holiness, this Shabbos. Now why? The Shabbos Kodesh yesh shtei bechinas. Shabbos is made of two different things. You have bechinas Yom HaShvi, and you have bechinas Shabbos. So you have the seventh day, and then you have Shabbos. What's the difference between the two? Bechinas Yom HaShvi misyacheses v'nivnes misheshes hayomim shel hashavua she'avar. When Shabbos is referred to as Yom HaShvi, that's corresponding to what was built from the 6 days prior to it, meaning whatever happened before that Shabbos builds it up and brings it into that Shabbos that's in front of you. But then we have something else. Now he continues, Im b'shavua she'avar haya bo chag. So for instance, if there was a Yantiv and the week before the Shabbos that you have and coming up, so nimsheches kedusha gam b'yom hashvi, the kedusha of whatever Yantiv was during the week is nimshach also into the seventh day, into Shabbos, because it's corresponding backwards, right? Barei Shabbos she'achar Yom Kippurim hi oid bechinas Yom Kippur. Don't worry, won't be as long in shul, but you know what I mean. deep down inside, like Yom Kippur brought into the world the light of love, the light of everlasting love, the light of how beautiful we are, the light of the beauty, is nimshach into this Shabbos as well. I saw a word. I learned this Torah last week, that the greatest musar you can give is a pasuk that says, Musar b'ni al tmaass. So I think it's in Slonimer, they say, Musar b'ni al tmaass. What's the greatest musar we could give ourselves? The next musar, what's musar? The second word, b'ni. B'ni, you're my son. Al tmaass, there's nothing ugly about you. Ma'us, ugly, right? Musar b'ni al tmaass, don't see, and there's nothing disgusting about you. This is the light, this is the cleansing of Yom Kippur. You come out of Yom Kippur, says, Musar, what's the greatest Musar I need to take with me? B'ni, al tmaass. This, the Heilige Nasiv Shalom says, goes into the Shabbos, nach Yom Kippur, following Yom Kippur, so that's in the air. Ve'od, second paragraph. Yesh b'chinas Shabbos, ha'she'eches l'shavua haba, ha'mischadesh uba, like we always say. Tחילה למקראי קודש. Shabbos is תחילה למקרא קודש. Any holiness which will be during the week is called out on the Shabbos beforehand. So what is it? What do we have this week? ועוד יש בחינס Shabbos השייכת לשבוע מסחדש ובא. בכל Shabbos קודש מסחדש הבריאה לששת ימים הבאים. Every single Shabbos, the creation itself is renewed for the next 6 days coming up. The fees, according to this. Shabbos zu שיש בה גם הארס יום כיפר. וגם הארס חג הסוכה זמן שמחתנו. This is the words of the Slonimer. הרי שהיא השבס הקדושה ביותר בשנה. It's the holiest Shabbos of the year, the Slonimer Rebbe says, because within it is contained the love for Yom Kippur and the simcha of sukkah that's coming up. שניכלולים בה שתי הקדושות הגבוהות מאוד. These two yantivs, these two lights, these two paradigms are meeting us this Shabbos Kodesh, and it's very interesting energy that we feel. Now, what is the kitzer? What's the danger with such a thing?
Internal pressure. Oh, I gotta make it the best Shabbos ever.
What else is the danger? You learn a Torah like this. What else is there? What could come down and be like?
The regular Shabbos for me, and now I'm starting to go back to my. I really am. I can't connect. I'm not there.
Right, and then I'm thinking, well, if I really was connected, I'd feel what he's saying over here, right? Mm-hmm. It's very chazak. These are very chazak things. Because I'll tell you the truth, as high as a Torah like this is one of the Shabboses that it's almost easiest to fall. Yeah.
It's a trap game.
In sports. Right, you're talking about in sports when you have a great team coming up, but then you're playing this bad team. Whatever, it's gonna be easy. It's obviously gonna be something I can experience, right. A good thing. Then.
Yeah.
Yes. SI's got it.
Our latest Rashi's in the house. Yeah.
Sometimes it's a trap shop.
I think we have a hard time coming down. We have an easy time getting high. We have these moments of coming down and being down is very hard. So even after Yom Kippur, you go into Sukkot, it's it's an avodah, but have a Shabbos in between. It's a transition. It's a very powerful opportunity to stay within the.
So what Arya is saying is preparing us to hear the words of the Kohen. This is exactly what the Kohen Gadol. We've learned this next piece at least 2 or 3 times over the last 10, whatever many years we've been learning together. This is exactly the Nakuda. Now you could learn, God, it's so exalted, it's amazing. Guess what will still be this Shabbos? The same nudnik that drives you crazy. It's not, hopefully he won't, but he's there in shul. He's right there. That the diaper needs to be changed, right? You fill in the blank, right? You could know these things on a very exalted level, and they're emes la'amito. They're emes la'amito. So I already want to tell you basically the end. I'm telling you the end, and we're going to see it inside. This Shabbos is the Shabbos of patience. This Shabbos, the depth and beauty of it is that if you daven strong enough, and you go into it with the same mahalach we began Rosh Hashanah. Remember what we said Rosh Hashanah night? What's the greatest simon from all the simonim? Anyone remember?
Be relaxed.
Staying calm. Staying calm. Like that's the whole zach over here. That hasn't left us. And it's dafka, this Shabbos, that needs to be implemented. That if you see things that are like, well, this doesn't add up to what the Slonimer Rebbe just told me. This is bichlal not my. Wait a second. I went into Tafshin Pei Vav with a siman. What was my siman? That's the greatest siman is I'm staying calm. Things can be true in olamot elyonim. The way that I bring it down is through calmness, through yishuv adas. Yes, Yeshua.
I think just on a practical level for me, when you talk about calmness, is like, it's dafka, like there's so much to do, like buy lulavs and build a sukkah, and oh god, I have to make another Shabbos, and 5 loads of laundry, like all these things are building up, and then it's like Shabbos because you can't do anything, and then it's like, you're just kind of like,
yeah,
and which normally you don't have. You have 4 days to,
right.
Like do all this stuff.
Right, nachon. And you have to go into Shabbos feeling like you already did all the preparations for what needs to come. Also, you can't even think about Motzei Shabbos. You can't even think about Sunday or Wednesday until Monday night, right? I mean, if I actually think right now about anything else other than this year, I will. Yeah, like I'm gonna lose it. You know what I mean? Like I'm naming a baby at 10, and then there's a band rehearsal at 1. Then I have to figure out how to get schach. Then there's whatever. There's.
Stop thinking about it.
Right. But Shabbos comes and says, hey, whether you like it or not, man. That's why the inyan of kol melachtcha asuya, this Shabbos is probably most shayach. Then probably, maybe that's what he means over there by like, that this Shabbos is the holiest of the year because it's kilu nechpa alecha. It's like saying, hey, Yom Kippur, Sukkot, the Kedusha, zeh. Eli, you want to say something?
It's just by Sadiqim, you always hear like, this is the holiest, holiest. Like, so one of the things that as see them or people who are listening, like, there's even girls making fun a little bit of it, but the pillar of the holiest man, like for us, like us the people, like we're not always so fired up each man, each Indian, like so. What's the real way for us to get excited?
Right.
These young.
Well, that's why I said. I mean, that's exactly why I was madgish that it has to be the Shabbos of patience, like that nekuda, because you're right. Sometimes I have the worst experience after learning these svarim about this man. Mm-hmm. The worst. It's like the last thing that the tzaddik is trying to give over is happening in me, and then in my Shabbos table and the yontiv table, like the last thing. Sometimes because of our beseder, it's not an inyan now of saying how small we are. It's just the mitzias of the world that we're in. So even though this Torah from the Slonimer is emes la'amito, the only access I have to it is by letting go of any expectation that this is actually how I'm going to passively feel going into this Shabbos. But the Kohen, the light of all lights, Rav Kook, he helps us out with this. Now there are 2 pieces in the Oros that Rav Kook says. I actually want to start for a second. You see the second to bottom paragraph? Second to bottom paragraph, Al Yedei, because it's a separate piece. I put them together, but it's really a separate piece. Look at the second to bottom paragraph. Al Yedei ha'aliyah shel Yom Kippurim misrachkim harbe me'olam hazeh. You know, what we tasted and what hopefully all Yidden tasted, you know, you're not here. Like, we know we were not here yesterday. You're not in what we refer to as olam hazeh, right? Al yidei ha'aliyah shel Yom Kippurim yisrachkim ha'arbeh me'olam hazeh. And Rav Kook's aware of that. And he doesn't have any expectation of us saying, oh, you flew so high, now you stay there. No, that's not how it goes. Although the Piasetzner Rebbe does say, it's very, like, I have 2 shilas I would like to ask the Piasetzner, and this is just one of them. One is something else, but saying, what did you mean when you said that he doesn't understand how come Shalish Shudis, every week people don't treat it like it's Kol Nidre? He expands on it a little bit over there, but B'derech Klal, like the Rav Kook is saying, Al Yidei Aliyah Shel Yom Kippurim, Misrachkim harbem. You're very distant from this world. And look what he says, such like caring words. Utzrichim shmira mikol michshol kshepokshim beinyane ha'olam hazeh. Then you come back down into this world, and then there's this world things to deal with. You need a big shmira from these things. Ve'osam hayamim sheben Yom Kippur and Sukkot nitnu lechinuch shel chazara le'inyanim ha'olam hazeh betiur hagun b'kedusha. Rav Kook says, these days that are between Yom Kippur and Sukkot were given to us to re-educate us as to how to come back and deal with the world, but this time from a vision of Kedusha. It doesn't mean over here like you were standing in the Ila Hashem Elokim. That's not what it means. Cook's not saying, okay, now, so figure out now how you come back into the world while you're mamish screaming Shema Yisrael, Baruch Shem, and Hashem Elokim. Te'ur hagun shel Kedusha, that's the lesson? Te'ur hagun b'Kedusha is like this delicate, patient aura of Kedusha that now you come back and deal with things in the world. To me, the greatest midah in the world that describes how to come back and deal with olam hazeh things is the midah of Sablanut, is the midah of patience. That is to me, that's the greatest, most important, and most effective way of looking now into things again in this world. Not freaking out like you're saying, looking at Shabbos, it's the same Shabbos, it's the same Shabbos table, same zach, these kids are here, I'm here, sleeping here, whatever it is. But now, I have Yom Kippur eyes. It doesn't mean that the moments are now like Kedusha, like Yom Kippur. But these days, Rav Kook saying, were given to us al chinuch, to re-educate ourselves. And some would also say, like Zois Chanukah Samizbeach. That means like the dedication, the inauguration. Like, okay, I'm coming back to this world, and I have to do things. I still have to come back and be busy with things. If anyone that's busy with a bill that he has to deal with today, you would think this is like the worst thing in the world, like Hashem hates me. It's like, no, this is, you're in olam hazeh. But you take with you the love that you had inside over Yom Kippur and say, I'll get through this one as well. How? Le'at, with patience. Chayavim et zeh. Chayavim. Now, there's two words, we always say this. There's two words that are sort of describing the same thing, but they're two different worlds completely. One is Sablanut. That's basically like this, when someone does this to you. It's a horrible, horrible hand movement. It's a horrible. The worst is when someone does together with that. Zech. That's Tisha B'Av. Then you have Hamtana. Hamten. The Kohen Gadol of Yosef. He had this over in Shir last week about Mamtin. Right? You remember the sugya, the Kohen Gadol would go in based on the Rav. He brought over the Rav's darshan, the Ran. It's an amazing thing. The Kohen Gadol would go into the Kodesh Kodesh and haya mamtin acheti smale kula ashan. He would wait there. There was a hamtana, and that room, the waiting room, cheder hamtana. There's a matana. Sablanut is sevel. it's torture, right? But hamtana is a different thing. There's this world of hamten that we're in right now, because we're going to go into the sukkah soon, and then it's going to be again ananei akavod, the same anonim that were makif, the Yidden in the desert, and also the lashon of the Torah that was inside the Kodesh Kodoshim. We're in this world of hamten right now, and when you go into it like that, that's a shmira that Rav Kook speaks about. That's a shmira to re-meet myself, my body, after experiencing an out-of-body experience. And that's very, very important. As you see on the bottom over here, Al Ken, Ba'im Yomim Shel Simchas Kodesh, days of great holiness are coming. Shel Chedvas HaNefesh, rejoicing of the soul. Lekomem Es HaRotzon HaTov Ve'az Ve'oz HaChaim HaTor, to re-establish, to re-erect the goodwill and the passion to have a pure life. And then az tiyah tshuva shlema. So if Kook's like saying, you guys thought you were out of it, right? It was done. Tshuva gamarno. He says, actually, no. The tshuva shlema, maybe we can darshan, we can nakasha this to the Shabbos tshuva drasha. The tshuva shlema is actually how I walk into the sukkah after these days that are between Yom Kippur and Sukkot. Because what happens to us is that sometimes when we work so hard and spiritually speaking, we work so hard on ourselves and we have to go to a certain place, something gets neglected, which we'll see in a second. Okay.
No, in the word hamtana, you have the word matana.
Right. Present. There's a present waiting for you if you know how to wait. If you know how to wait. Now, look at the top now. We'll just do this. Lifamim, al yidei shemit'amtzim liot mudbak beruchnius elyona. You see the beginning of Rav Kook. Sometimes what happens to us when you work so hard to be clinging to supernal spirituality, mitromemim kol kochot achayim aruchnim lemala be'olam ha'machshava elyona. You know what you took with you? You took with you everything. If Yom Kippur was Yom Kippur, what did you schlep? What did you carry and elevate with you, up with you while you were ascending? Your whole koach hamachshava, your whole world of thought also went up with you. But what ends up happening? You're not dead, you're still alive. If you're still physically alive, what's still alive there? Haguf. V'haguf ne'ezav min haneshama. So the body, so to speak, Rav Kook says, becomes soulless. Haguf ne'ezav min haneshama. Your body is soulless. V'al yidei zeh, hamidos haros sholtos bo. So what happens when there's no shmira on your body because it's all neshama? The body on its own can watch itself. Ma pitom. So when it goes into autopilot, then what has achiza? What has a grasp on kivyochol, the body? Midos ros. It's not you did something wrong. It's just nature of the. Yeah, it's just it is what it is. It's just it is what it is. Midos ros sholtos bo. Be'achar kach. And then he says, what happens? Third line, then this way of perception and vision and looking at who you are and what the world is and what the relationship with the Eibishter is, right? When this is over, because Hashem hu Elokim, tkiya, l'shana haba v'hu rachum, go home, koach ha'chaim chozeh l'regilus shelo, and then the way you normally operate goes back. What does the neshama find when it comes back to meet the body? Motzes haneshama is a guf shavur bekilkulei tchunasav. It finds a body that's like basically saying to the neshama, I'm really happy you had a good time.
Yeah.
Really happy for you.
Good for you.
Good for you, right? We're all, on behalf of all goofs, we're very happy that you have been flying.
Nice.
Huh?
Must be nice.
It must be really nice, yeah. You know, like when you come back from a vacation and like a person's so chalishing to be there, and all they really want to say is like, I'm so happy for you. Your simcha is my simcha. But you see in their eyes, you're like, wow. It must feel really good to have that time that time together, right? So the body's looking at the neshama and said, wow, it must have felt really exalted, huh? Must have been really good. And then Rav Kook says, מתחילה מלחמה פנימית גדולה ומסוכנת מאוד. Then an inner war, a dangerous war, begins inside. Rav Kook is basically saying this, don't freak out, this makes sense. It makes sense to not be able to figure out how everything just stems now. Like it just flows back inside into the world. No, the body was alone. And it was supposed to be alone. That's how the Ribbon Shleilim designed it. Remember the Vort in Slonim, they say, and the Pasuk says, V'yinisem es nafshei seichem. So you torture, you have to go through afflictions of your soul, but that's a weird thing because nefesh, what torture does the soul have when it experiences 25 hours that's completely dedicated to them? So the Slonimer has a word somewhere, Al tikri ve'inisem ela ve'anisem. Like, no, you're giving an answer to all the questions of your soul when you're fully acknowledging it and taking care of it, right? But who doesn't have an answer? The goof doesn't have an answer, right? You could say, I feel cleansed. No, it's not like a juice cleansing. That's not what the body feels after Yom Kippur.
Nobody really feels clean physically.
What's that?
You feel the opposite of clean physically after Yom Kippur. You realize you haven't showered yet.
Right. Ubishvil kach, and for this, Rav Kook says, why are we still like finishing the tshuva shlema? Ubishvil kach tzricha hatshuva im chefetz ziku hamidos, with a desire to refine midos, lios kodemes la'aliyah ha'istaklusis. Rav Kook says, I'm going to give you an eitzah for next year. He says, what should be a kavana when you're about to say, okay, aleh alei ahara, Rosh Chodesh Elul? And Rav Kook speaks about this in Oras HaTshuva, obviously about tshuva gufanit. So the Indian here is, like Rav Kook is saying, before you head up to the mountain, and you know you're going to fly, what ratzon should you have with you? Like, me'atchala. Not once I come down from the mountain, like Motzei Yom Kippur, and I have new luchos now. But what should be the thing before I even go up? There should be a desire over here that, like he says, Chefetz ziku chamidos Hashem, I don't want to go up here just so that I could experience bliss up here. My kavana is to come back down with kochot mechudashim, with renewed kochos that'll meet me back where I'm at, where I left off. But now with a different way of looking at what I have to do in this world and how I have to approach things. And that's why the midah of Sablanus is a midah that everyone is b'shava and needs. You know, Rabbi Nachman says that, Rabbi Nachman Schusya says that Mashiach is going to come and teach us one midah when he comes, the midah of Sablanus. It's going to be his Torah that he's actually going to teach us. And it's going to tick us off because we'll be like, are you kidding me? We've been waiting for you for, you're going to teach me midah Sablanus, right? Are you serious, right? Right. Right. Rav Nachman is saying, it's not this midah of Sablanus, it's the other one, right? Rav Kook says, you have to start already before you ascend with that kav. And then he says, ve'az machshirim eze maga ben haguf el haneshama gam b'isalus ha'elyona. And then there's a hechsher. There's a place where the body and soul can meet while they're ascending up, where the body doesn't feel totally neglected. It's almost like, right, you're going up because you actually really care about me. You're not just neglecting me. You're going up, you're blissing out, you're davening, you're flying, but really it's because you care about us together. The chibur shmi together, yeah.
The neshama and the guf are like a parent and child. And if a parent goes to a parenting course, be a better parent. You're leaving for maybe a day or two you're going to, but you're coming back with something tangible to bring. So the neshama has to come back and not say to the guf, you're doing everything all wrong. This is,
right.
You're steeped in all this stuff. You're coming back and saying, this is how we work together in parent and child. This is how we work together.
That should be the kavanah before going to the parenting course, yeah?
There's a chazal that says that where Hashem judges us is like the orchard of the king with the blind and the lamp, and they put them on each other's shoulder.
Right.
And
Yes, that's it.
They're not separated.
They're not really separated, yeah.
I
mean, the body feels that because we relate to it on a physical level, like when it's completely neglected, so it feels like we're separated, right? It feels like we're separated. But everyone reaches a certain place during Yom Kippur where you really have forgotten about your body. At a certain point, every person has that moment where you actually really have forgotten. Rav Kook says, so right there, that's the place where there needs, when you come back, deep shmira, and next time around, and the tshuva will be shlema, when I wrap myself in these 4 days of patience, especially the Shabbos of patience, and I give space for the needs of the physicality, I give space for the needs of olam hazeh. Chazal, obviously, in their infinite wisdom, there's no reason why Sukkot is now, right? There's no reason why Sukkot comes out on the calendar now. Could have been any time of it. It would have made much more sense in Nisan or around there, but not here, right? But that's obviously because we need to still stay busy with something. So yeah, we're busy with mitzvahs v'chulei, but there's also a few minutes in between the building a sukkah and buying daled minim that we're actually, right, chevra? There are a few minutes in between the mitzvahs that we're busy doing in these few days, right? There's relationships. There's relationships again. So I want to give us a strong bracha that with this in mind, we go into the greatest Shabbos of the year, according to the Slonimer Rebbe. We'll go back to what we said. It's not that Torahs like these are not good for la'efech. It's Torahs like this in a healthy context can really build us and take Yom Kippur with us into the sukkah and to the rest of the year, like we want to so badly, and renew our understanding of what it means to be in a relationship with Melech Malchei Amlachim, with each other, with our spouses, with our children, and hopefully like that, all the Kedusha that came from Yom Kippur and that's coming from Sukkot will find its way in its very special way. This Shabbos, for everyone a little bit different, but it just means we have to be together even stronger this Shabbos. And alavai, 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 our bodies will be proud of us for what we went out to do, and not lahefech. Bezrat Hashem. Good Shabbos, everyone. Shkosh.